And tonight I wanted to get on and talk about one of my very favorite topics, yoga for runners. Tonight I want to run through some great yoga poses for feet. So as a runner, you know how important your feet are. Your feet really take a pounding, literally, when you are a runner. And so I just wanted to pop on and show some poses real quick to help you stretch out your feet, keep all of those tendons, ligaments nice and happy, that sort of thing. When I am going through the yoga poses, unfortunately, to be able to get far enough back so that you can see what I'm doing, I won't be able to read comments. So if you would just stick around until I'm done showing all of the poses, and I'll come back. One thing, actually, let me get back here and I'll start. All right. So when you are stretching out the feet, also want to think about stretching out the ankles. Want to make sure that you're getting like all of the tendons and ligaments that are kind of down in your heel. Anything that's in your lower calf is also going to, for the most part, kind of attach down in the ankle area, the heel area. And so some issues, such as plantar fasciitis, which you normally feel on the bottom of your foot, that can actually happen more when you have tight, Achilles tendon, and some of the other tendons and ligaments are tight in the ankle. I know that that's personally what has led me to have plantar fasciitis. So things that will stretch out the calf, like a downward facing dog, pressing your heels to the mat in the down dog will help. Another great pose for that's a seated pose, would be to come to a seated forward fold with the strap. So if you don't have a strap, you could take like a towel, or also a belt would work great. What I'm going to do is take the strap around the balls of my feet, and I'm going to help my feet dorsiflex a little bit, or the tops of my feet are going to pull up towards my body, and that's helping to stretch out a little bit through the bottoms of my calves and through my ankles just a little bit. So you can do that with both feet, or for a little bit of added focus, you can do that with one foot at a time. And again, that's going to help stretch out the calves and the ankles. So that's a good one. Also talking through the bottom of the feet, there is kind of a different common names for this, but big toe pose is one that's used relatively often. Work on getting the angle correct. Perfect. Or toe stretch poses, I think what you'll see this called at sometimes. What I'm doing is curling my toes under and then taking a seat on my heels. What this is doing is stretching out the bottoms of my feet. So this is good for, again, those of us who have a tendency for plantar fasciitis, because our ankles are tight and because the bottoms of our feet are tight, the arches, that's helping to stretch all of that out. So this is a pretty intense stretch, especially when I'm training for marathons. I can only handle holding this for a couple breaths before I have to come in or come out of it. So listen to the signals your body is telling you. So once I've stretched my feet out, stretching the bottoms of my feet, I want to do what's called a counter pose and stretch my feet in the opposite direction. To do that, the first pose I'll show you is child's pose. So I'm going to bring my big toes to touch. My knees I'm bringing wide on my mat here to get a little bit of an extra hip opener, but if you have really tight hips, you can always keep your knees in. And then just simply melting forward, bringing your forehead to your mat. And you can rest in, but what that is doing, so awkward, totally lost my glasses, awesome. Bringing the tops of my feet onto the mat and helping to press through the tops of my feet. Again, opening up my feet in the opposite direction. And then the final pose I want to leave you with, which is a big opener in that direction, is hero pose. You'll notice I'm grabbing my block because this one is, again, a big opener. It's taken me literally years to be able to get into this a little bit better. So as a runner, don't feel bad if you struggle with this one. In fact, I really strongly recommend using a block or a pillow or something to sit on. So angle this down a little bit so you can see my feet a little bit better. And I'll do it from the side first. What I'm doing is sitting on the block, and then my feet are coming to the outsides of my thighs. So my left heel is sitting just outside of my left thigh, and then my feet are pressing down into the mat. The tops of my feet are into the mat. So this would be a hero pose with a block, Once you start to get more open, you can release the block and then work on sinking your seat down in between your feet. And you may need to scoot your feet out a little bit more. The final pose would be to come back and lay on your back. But again, you need to be very, very open for that. For most runners, that's not going to happen because your feet and the tendons and ligaments in your feet, your ankles are so tight from running naturally. So just be really careful. I would strongly recommend just going with a block or, you know, a folded blanket under your seat, unless you know you've been practicing yoga for a while and you're more open. I'll show you that from the other direction. So again, I'm going to take the block, sit on the block, and this should be easier to see the placement of the feet. So my heels are on the outside of my seat here. And again, you can play around if you've got a yoga block and, you know, even just having the low block. So the way I'm sitting on it is this direction. You can change the height of your yoga block according to what you need. So if you're super tight, sit on the 6-inch block. Just find the spot where this feels best for your body. Again, every person's body is different. We're all tight in different spots. And so it's really playing around with props and playing around with the pose to find the pose that feels best for you. But those are my very favorite yoga poses to help open up the feet in different ways. Runners, I would strongly suggest practicing these just to make sure that you're keeping that good flexibility in your feet, especially making sure that you keep the bottom of your feet stretched out, keeping that plantar fascia nice and loose so that you don't get plantar fasciitis. I've had it. It's not fun, so do everything you can to try and prevent that inflammation from occurring.